What's up, I Like Scary? We are back. I hope you're all having an awesome day. I'm having an awesome day. It feels great to be a horror fan. So you all, today I want to talk about why are we going to get a fresh start with Halloween, with the franchise and everything. And yeah, you guys, I want to dive real deep into that and explain why I think a fresh start is going to be what happens next. But before we get started, definitely smash the like button because it definitely helps. So, look, we know Halloween, what happened with the trilogy and how it ended off with Michael, getting took out and everything. Now, with this trilogy, I want to kind of mainly talk about like the trilogy and the original and some other, films that was in this franchise. Now, with this trilogy, we got James, Jude, Courtney. Michael was an old man in this trilogy. We don't have young Michael. We have an older Michael that is taking damage along the way. And one thing that I want to point out and one thing I want to say is that with this storyline, with with Laurie and Michael, the hunter and the hunted, it was pretty much solid for me. I enjoyed it. It was a Halloween film at the end of the day, and we got Jamie Lee Curtis back. We got our granddaughter, inserted in the franchise, Allison, her daughter, Karen. And it was very cool. It was very unique how they inserted these characters, in my opinion. Now, one thing I do want to say is Michael had to be old in this trilogy just off of realism and the story and, the history of this whole franchise. And I feel like I liked Michael being old because it felt real. It matched up to Laurie Strode and just the legacy and history. And James Jude Courtney was just the icing on the cake, man. His performance as Michael Myers, it was out of this world. He's definitely one of my favorite Michaels. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that with this trilogy, like I touched on in my previous video, it kind of seemed like they wanted to test the waters and see if they wanted to make Allison a final girl in the future, or just kind of make, and see if we could get invested in her along the way. And I definitely did. I love Andy Matichek's performance. I love Allison, and she did a great job. She just felt like a younger Laurie. It was almost like I thought immediately we were going to just kind of get this new generation of Halloween at the end of this trilogy. But that wasn't the case. It was still, Laurie's story and Michael's story, which I loved. I love Laurie Strode and Michael. Now, one thing I want to point out is that it almost kind of teased us in a way. Just seeing Allison and her friend group, Dave and Vicky and everything, kind of teases on what, another Halloween could be in David Gordon Green's hands. Like just if he would have just went and did his own type of thing. You know what I'm saying? I think that it would have worked. Just seeing how the stuff he captured with Allison mainly and her friend group, it was crazy. Now, to kind of, pull away from that and talk about why I think a fresh start will come. Now, I still would love to, see Jamie Lloyd get her flowers, Danielle Harris. I just will still love to see that. And I think she deserves to have one more showdown with the Boogeyman just because, she's a huge character in Halloween. I love Danielle Harris as Jamie Lloyd. Halloween 4 is one of my favorites. I love Rachel, Ellie Cornell. I would love Rachel to come back. I just feel like the Halloween franchise, they actually made a huge mistake killing her off because for me, she was a final girl. She was a final girl. It didn't get handed to her. She earned it through her whole performance with Halloween 4. From the rooftop scene, from her getting chased by Michael after what he did to Brady, just her just overnight getting, same thing as Laurie. It's like the same formula. Laurie was innocent, babysitting or whatever, and overnight she got turned into a final girl. Same thing as Rachel. So that's why I think we all love Rachel, because she's like a mirroring Laurie. But to kind of proceed, I think the reason they won't go with the Halloween 4 timeline just yet is just off the simple fact how we ended off with Halloween Ends. Now, Halloween Ends was a definitive ending. Michael is now dead. Now, I feel like we got two groups of, Halloween fans. We got ones that are diehard, that follows the timeline. They know every little thing about Halloween. They understand the timelines and how they branch out. And now we got another group of Halloween fans that kind of don't quite understand the timeline. They just know that Laurie Strode and Michael Myers are sister and brother. Some people don't even know that this did not even exist in the trilogy. And that kind of is a huge piece of this trilogy, that they are not siblings. The family thing is not in tied with this. So, say if they did do a Halloween 4, right, and they did a trailer, and Jamie Lloyd and everyone is popping up, they're gonna say, fans are gonna say, okay, didn't they just kill him off? That certain group are gonna say, didn't they just kill him off? A lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with it, but like your average viewer for Halloween, they're not gonna understand that this is a whole different timeline. This is a whole different, stage of characters, and different Michael. People are going to see this and like, bro, see, they already brought him back. I told you they didn't kill him. And I think that's going to hurt whatever, route they decide to take with that film. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to hurt that. Just off the fact people are going to judge it off of Halloween Ends. You see what I'm saying? But now the reason I say a fresh start is going to be needed, like a whole reset, just reset the whole Halloween franchise. Because I feel like if you come back with that, similar to what Rob Zombie did, like I say, on the channel, I love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007. I love Tyler Mane. I love Scout Taylor Compton. It's amazing. I love it. I'm sorry. Some people don't enjoy it. I do. Now, the second one, I'm mixed about it. But one thing I want to point out is that Rob Zombie, he tried to attempt that. Now, we all found out that he couldn't even make the movie he wanted to make. That's for a different story. Check out the video I posted. And, basically the company had their hands in it, kind of changing things. But he tried to do like a revamped Halloween, like just, a new age Halloween. And it's things in 2007 that I absolutely love. And it's things in Rob Zombie's 2007 I absolutely just is like, what? But it's like, I feel that after seeing what Rob Zombie's films did, another director and writer could come along the way and see like, okay, this is what we can't do. And I just feel like, okay, and Rob Zombie's set of Halloween movies definitely splits fans down the middle. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people are in the middle about it. And all the films for Rob Zombie's Halloween would have did absolutely well. I can see the expectation. It would have just did great. We probably would have got more films, Tyler Mane and everything. It would have just been different. But unfortunately, some people didn't enjoy it. So I feel like the right writer and director will come around and share their own story about Halloween, with their own vision, if that makes sense. Because, John Carpenter kind of already talked about that in an older interview, saying that basically, he loves his story that he made, 78's Halloween. Now it's people that comes along the road that wants to show their own vision on how they think Halloween played out in their minds, and that's cool. And I think that you can definitely get another story told, almost like a story for this generation. Now I'm not saying change the rooting of Halloween, but you get a new Myers, you get new characters, and you get new attachment, and you just get a new team. And you gotta have people along the way with this project that loves Halloween, that knows Halloween, that understands the little things that us fans notice. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta get that mask right. And Chris Nelson did a great job. So with me just saying this, I feel like if you reset the whole franchise, number one is more money for whatever, director, writer, and company who decides to say, hey, I want to do another Halloween, reboot or whatever. If your film does great, look at it like this, because Halloween has a huge following. The following is huge. With Halloween, it's a certain formula that you have to execute. And I feel like it's writers out there that can definitely do it, because a lot of people love Halloween. You just have to, really do it a certain way, if that makes sense. And I feel like if you just keep the same rooting and blueprint and kind of put your own twist on it, similar, I know it sounds crazy, similar to what Rob Zombie did, but more grounded and not as brutal and a lot of cursing and just, that's just Rob Zombie at the end of the day. But I feel like I want to see someone do a more grounded reboot. You never know. It can definitely be executed. And like I said, the moment I seen Halloween Kills with that flashback, it just made me think they can do it. It's definitely out there in the universe. Just the right team has to pick it up. And I definitely feel that Halloween, the franchise needs a reset because Michael is dead. And you know, with Allison and Corey, sad to say, like David Gordon Green said, he's wiped his hands with that, so we will no longer see them. And once again, when you sit there and think about it, I feel like a lot of, you know, people that want that Halloween 4, you know, timeline to come back, include myself with Danielle Harris, I just think a writer or a director will be actually scared to do it, just off the fact to think that their movies want to take a big blow, because people are not going to understand that this is a different timeline. You know, it's just not, people are not going to understand it after what just happened to Michael. Now, if you promote, you know, it's a new beginning, a new story told, you know, a new generation, you know, and new age, then people are like, oh, so they're redoing it. And I think you will get so many fans just want to see what you do. And then, like I said, in the long run, you could do a sequel, you could do, you know, a third film, a fourth film. You can just kind of do your own story. You don't even have to keep the same footing as a Halloween 2 or a 4 or 5. You can make them your own stories. Just make sure the first one kind of explains the same roots. You know what I'm saying? And just have new characters, have Michael stalk another group, and just have everything completely different. I think that's what's going to happen next, because just off the fact that some people don't understand the Halloween timelines, your average viewer, and it's nothing wrong with it, but I just think in the long run, if they decide to pick up from another Halloween besides how David Gordon Green did a direct sequel to 78, it's going to be kind of hard, because some people are not going to understand that. But comment down below what you all think about everything. Do you think that Halloween, you know, the franchise needs a full reset? If so, comment down below also saying, what do you think they should do with the full reset? Who should take on that project? And when do you think we will get it? But unfortunately, this is the end of the video, you all. Don't forget to hit me on my social medias at ILIKESCARY on Instagram, ILIKESCARY _ on TikTok, and Brandon on Facebook, and ILIKESCARY on Twitter. And also, you all, check out Patreon. I'm posting over there, man. Posting some cool behind-the-scenes videos. You can get some exclusive content and benefits. But yeah, you all, I want you to watch some horror movies. Stay scary out there. I love you all. Peace.